and you want to move to Italy. What's important for you to know? What kind of budget you need? And so I wanted to get your input on this, Giulia.
So we're talking about one bedroom in Rome, because the greater Roman area, so outside of Rome, that's a whole other story. Let's focus on Rome. So
Nice.
Rome has plenty of great areas. And by great areas, I mean that Rome is one of the European capitals with most green areas in it. Like there's big, huge parks, and there's trees on the sidewalks, and there's little parks. So it is beautiful. Some areas have more of that, some areas have less of that. There's great neighborhoods you could live in. And for example, those are Prati, Parioli, Coppedè, Eur, Pigneto, San Giovanni, Montemario, Baldo degli Ubaldi, which is I know it's kind of catchy, and Valle Aurelia. Those areas I mentioned are good for some reasons, and for others. For example, they are rich areas, so no criminality, no crime, or they are very accessible. For example, train stations close to universities, lots of nightlife for the young people, also older people, because older people like to party in Rome. But we're talking about, strictly speaking about money, something that goes between 1,600 euros per square meter to 8,300 euros per square meter. So it's a pretty big range. All right. It's hard to get a fixed price because, for example, it's hard for me to tell you 250,000, because 250,000 could be a one bedroom apartment in Parioli, or 250,000 could be my house here in the outskirts of Rome, which is a 3-bedroom, 2-floor house. Completely different. All right. So let's stick to the price per square meter. So the most expensive areas would definitely be Parioli. Then we have San Giovanni, Prati, and Flaminio. Prati, Flaminio, Parioli, and San Giovanni are between 4,200 per square meter to 5,600 per square meter. That's on average. Pretty good, considering that you're in one of the fanciest areas. Not San Giovanni, but Prati, Flaminio, and Parioli. Parioli is so expensive because there's luxury homes. It's close to embassies. Coppedè, which is the other neighborhood I mentioned, that's very artistic, very characteristic. That's basically on the same price range. Flaminio is more down to earth. So you're gonna it's going to look like more neighborhood friendly, something like that, Prati is an old area of Rome, like a slightly older. It was built in the 1800s or 1900s, I don't remember exactly. So the buildings are very fancy, and it's also close to 2 underground stations. So that explains why the price is so high. Also, lots of green areas. The apartments are nicer. That's the price you're looking at. And if you want to talk about rent, for rent, it's going to be 19 euros 60 per square meter. And Parioli and Flaminio is going to be 20 euros per square meter, more or less. San Giovanni, 15 euros 50 per square meter. That's talking about rent.
That's actually not too bad. You're
No,
saying
it's not too bad.
15, 16 euros per square meter. That's actually not bad at all.
No.
Like even here in Texas, I mean, you're probably going to pay what? Maybe for like, I mean, if you want to rent like a 1-bedroom apartment, let's say that's 50, 60 square meters. So what, like 600 feet? You're
Mhm.
probably also going to pay, I think now minimum like $20 per square meter,
Oh, wow.
you know? Yeah. Like the prices have gone up a lot because of construction costs. They've also climbed
Mhm.
over the
Yeah.
past years tremendously, skyrocketed,
Yep.
but it's actually not too bad. But what that tells us, in my humble opinion, is that potentially the return on rental income isn't that great, considering how much it costs to buy an apartment, right, per square meter. Like
Mhm.
you were saying, like 1,800 euros per square meter, all the way up to, say, 8,000 euros per square meter, right? So let's say it's a 100 square meter apartment, right?
Mhm.
2-bedroom, 3-bedroom is going to cost you, let's say, 500,000 euros, give or
Yep.
take. Maybe it's going to be 700,000 euros. Maybe it's only going to be 370,000 euros. But then if you take a look at the rent, which can be, like you said, for that same, it's going to be probably what, like 1,500 to like 2,500 euros a month, give or take.
Yeah. Remember that we're talking about average prices. So for example, I'm not so sure about the 20 euros per square meter in Prati and Parioli and Flaminio, because those are very nice areas. So that is an average price. So it considers the lowest price, which is going to be for a one bedroom, which we were talking about, and it's still going to be very high. While for a nicer home, it's going to be much more. Like I have seen houses in Prati and Parioli, and trust me, those are like luxury homes. I will be very honest, they do not compare at all because of their history, because of the quality of the building, because of the area they are in. They do not compare to the nicest villa in Southern California. Like I lived in a 4,400 square feet house, 2 floors with a swimming pool, a garage, a little front yard. It is nothing. And they paid that house $750,000, which is ridiculous to me. If we compare it to a $500,000 or €500,000 house in Parioli, like with $500,000 house in Parioli, I not exaggerating, you will get one of the nicest houses out there. Like if you're an American willing to spend that kind of money, that is the area I will go for. But if you're trying to be more down to earth, you do not care for fancy, you do not care for columns inside your living room, if you don't care for an 1800s historical building, you could go for areas like Valle Aurelia or Eur or Pinedo or Monte Mario. Monte Mario is in the northwest side of Rome, still inside the Rome capital, but in the northwest. And it is actually very, very nice. And for buying property, we're talking about 2,400 2,800 per square meter, totally honest. Then we have Valle Aurelia, 3,600, 4,000. In Pinedo is 2,800, 3,200 per square meter. So, and Pinedo and Monte Mario have lots of nightlife, markets. They're accessible to undergrounds, buses. I mean, they have nothing to be ashamed of. They're nice areas.
Very well explained. And one thing I want to articulate here, if you're coming from Southern California, which is definitely one of the most expensive areas to live in the United States, there are some that might be even more expensive. Hawaii, New York, right? Yeah. There are some, depending on where you're located, the neighborhood that might be even more expensive. But if you're coming from one of the upscale cities or neighborhoods in America and you're coming to Rome, you're probably looking at pretty good discounts. Yeah. Considering, like you pointed out, Giulia, the quality is very important. And I've been stressing this a lot on the channel, that Italy is a quality play.
Yeah.
Like if people think about Italy, right, they think about quality cars, quality apartments, quality food, dining, landscapes, the ambiance, right? Everything, the quality is up here. And so you need to look at what you're getting for your money. It's not just about what you're paying, but it's about what you're getting for your money. And the price performance ratio is phenomenal in Italy, because like what you're saying, you can spend like so much money on a house that's sure nice, but it doesn't have like the same quality. Like in Europe, and that's especially true for, I would say, Germany, Austria, Italy, France. The qualities of materials used for the buildings are superior to anything I've seen in America. The windows here are very fragile. Like it's all based on capitalism, but it's not based on quality. Europe is a quality play if you go to the right countries, which Italy is. I've looked at many places here. I've lived also in many places, but just taking a look at my parents' house in Austria, I mean, I've seen nothing that's of the same quality here in America. And I've looked at many places and I've visited many places of friends, but it's not the same quality, right? So when you come to Italy, guys, when you come to Rome, you're probably going to pay a lot less for a really fancy apartment, luxurious, if you can afford to pay 3,000 euros a month, which is pretty normal for an American. for Canadian to spend. For instance, now, Julia, in Montreal or Toronto, just a shoebox condo might cost you more than a nice two-bedroom apartment in Rome. It's
Oh
true.
yeah.
That's why I inspire people to look at what you're getting for your money, not how
Yep.
much you're paying or that you might be paying the same or slightly less, but the quality you will be enjoying in Italy is beyond anything that you've seen ever. And I can tell you this because I've been there many times and I can kind of compare and I know that it's a quality place.